Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Meet Your Neighbours Unplugged, and this week I am so thrilled to have a lovely lady that we've been trying to have a chat to for a little while. I'd like you to welcome Ice Stella to Meet Your Neighbours. How you doing, Stella?
I'm doing good, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm really well, and thanks for giving up your time. I've been trying to get to you for a couple of weeks now, but anyway, it's all good. I'd like to start off a little bit different today, and just saying, certainly on behalf of me, but on behalf of the community, I'd like to thank you for all the support that you've given us for the longest time, and especially for me and my channel. I know you've been supporting me for a while, and so I'm very grateful for all that support and encouragement. And I'm sure that extends to the community as well, because I know that you spend a lot of time on a lot of different channels with a lot of different people within the community, and you know, you work and you have a busy family life, so it's I don't know how you fit it all in, to be honest, but anyway.
Oh, thank you all for being an inspiration.
No problem. So you're obviously from the UK. Can I ask you where the accent originates from?
It's probably from all over the place. Mm-hmm. I've moved around the country a lot, mainly in the north. Mm-hmm. So I picked up a little bit from this place and a little bit from the other. Mm-hmm. So it's not a typical accent, probably mostly from the northeast area. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time in Sunderland.
I think you know, when we first started chatting about a year or more, probably longer ago, but I straight away thought it was Newcastle or Sunderland or somewhere around there.
No.
Oh, but you know, that kind of region, because you know, I grew up pretty close to that part of the world, so I kind of heard that twang. But I think you said to me previously you have lived in Scotland for a little bit of time too.
We did. We lived on the west coast of Scotland, near the Isle of Arran.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
That's a nice part of the world.
It was beautiful.
Apart from the crap weather. Yeah, well. What is it Billy Connolly says, it's not the Pyrenees. It's Scotland. And it's wet. Yeah, it's it's funny, Sunderland and kind of that area around County Durham and all around there, they have a very unique sense of humour up in that northeast part of the country. It's
I'd agree with that.
It's Did you get converted to any football teams up north when you've been living up there?
Oh, I'll say yes. I got converted to Middlesbrough when I met my husband.
Ah, okay.
So we won't talk about before that time, but yeah.
I did have a friend of mine who lived somewhere up in the Newcastle area, and it was a funny discussion, because Andrew would say, I said, "Oh, do you support a football team?" He goes, "Yeah, Sunderland." I said, "Okay." He said, "And my wife supports Newcastle." And I went, "Oh, that's going to be an interesting conversation on Derby Day." But anyway.
Yeah, dramatic Saturday afternoon.
So so one of them, they were always in an argument on game day, so apparently, but anyway.
It can get pretty brutal.
So for those of you that are listening, football, the proper football, you know, the one with the round ball, which a lot of our listeners will call soccer, it's almost a religion in the UK. In fact, it is, but it's very tribal, and and for all our friends that have already been on here, from the northern part of the UK, you would understand it well and truly. So we could almost call you the Queen of the North now, Stella, because
oh, I would like that. Yeah, that'd be good.
Now that Game of Thrones is kind of finished, and they finished on that kind of note. How did you end up meeting the likes of Morpheus and Oz and those kind of guys? I'm interested to hear that story.
That was all down to local 4-pack.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was just over a year ago when we did his challenge, the Evolution of a Settlement challenge. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'd followed most of you guys for the longest time ever, and drop little comments, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Sardelia that got me into the challenge, doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of that, Morpheus GI joined the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
He hopped in late and was playing catch up and what have you. And I hadn't seen any of his stuff before, so I binge watched all of his stuff. And then he was chatting to a guy called the Great and Formidable Oz at the time, who is now Oz Games.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started watching his stuff as well. So I think because I had just got into streaming at that point, and I was much more vocal on people's channels, and we were all from the UK, we kind of just bonded over that, and shared ideas. I was in a couple of Oz's streams, and it was a lot of fun. I think it was just good timing.
Good. And now you get to kind of mother those guys now and keep them in check for what Morpheus was telling you.
Really?
No.
Really? Not so much. They're off doing their own things.
I love the fact that he was saying, well, sometimes when I'm streaming, I'm aware that they have children around, so I have to modify what I say.
My kids have probably watched you guys streaming, so they've heard all sorts.
I'm sure they have.
Don't worry about it.
So, are you a city girl at heart or a country girl? Well, where would you say you?
Country girl.
Yeah. Do you like the
Country
kind of?
Without a doubt.
You like the open spaces?
I love a good landscape. I love hills. I love weather. I love all that kind of thing. But I really struggle with people, with too many people being busy and active, and they're all driven, and it's like, oh no, I don't like this. So I'm much more comfortable at a slow pace and doing my own thing and not getting in anyone's way.
It's interesting because through the series we've heard from a lot of people that live in fairly small communities and in reasonable large towns in the UK and whatnot. And that's how I grew up, and now I live in a massive big, well, I wouldn't say a massive city. It's about half the size of London population wise, but I think there are advantages to both because I do miss. And one of the first things I do when I get home, if I ever go home, is I go up into the hills. I go up into the hills above the town, and I'll just sit there and listen to the silence, basically. Because that's one thing you don't realise when you live in a big city, how much noise there actually is, and continuous noise. But having said that, living in a small community, everybody knows your business. In the city, you can hide. So there's
there is that.
Plus and minuses.
Maybe that's why I like being online, because I get to hide in that way. So
So what?
But then
go on.
No, I was just going to say, on the other hand, sometimes I'm a bit more real online as well. I hide more in my real life than I do when I'm online, so it's swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, I guess so. How long have you been gaming for, Stella?
Forever.
And where did that all kind of start from?
I remember being at my primary school and being allowed to go into the library and do coding, when it was like type run DOS and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Was that with Windows 3.1 or something like that?
That was pre-Windows, and then we had all the green screen monitors, and it was all, and I just loved gaming, and I would go around the charity shops when I was on holiday and find old video games. I remember picking up the Lord of the Rings one for the Commodore.
Yep.
So I had to go out and buy a second-hand Commodore 64 at that point.
64 bits of wonderfulness.
It was awful, but amazing. It took forever to load a game.
Oh, that tape! The tape. Did you have you would have the cassette deck, and
yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah, I remember it well.
And you'd get almost to the end, then something would happen, and you'd be like. And I remember trying to write my own games from books that I bought from charity shops as well. The old Usborne books.
Yeah.
And you would type and type and type, and then one wrong digit and nothing worked.
Yeah.
So
Well, I used to subscribe to this Commodore 64 magazine, which was a UK publication, I think, which you got a free tape every week, I think it was. All these free games in wonderful 64-bit colour.
Yeah. But I used to love the text adventure games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look right and walk left, and loved it.
They've actually just recently, and I'm talking in the last month or so, I know they've they've brought out a PlayStation 1 which has been modified with HDMI kind of cable input, and it's got preloaded games. But in the last month and a half, they've brought out a 64 now that does a very similar thing. Believe it or not.
I shall have to check that out.
I did put it up on my. I'll try and find the link for it, because I did put it up on my stream a while ago. That I played the video, so if I can find
I'll
it,
troll through your videos.
I'll send you the link.
Send me the link.
Yeah. So you've obviously, like a lot of us, gone through that whole Commodore 64, Atari 2600, Sega Mega System. Yeah, PlayStation 1 kind of evolution, and I guess we arrive at where we are today, where it's come a long way to the point where we are heading into probably an era where video games and the immersion is probably more realistic than it ever has been before. So I want to get your kind of opinion on this. So you've grown up with, as we all have, as gamers, and we've grown up as kids as gamers. But how do you see your own family? Do you see them getting into games, and if so, have you got any concerns there as a parent because of the way that games are now, the realism that we have now?
No, my girls are gamers. They are streamers as well. And they love games like Stardew Valley, Tricky Towers. We watch a lot of I don't know whether people in other countries have heard of them, but PlayStation Access. And although I'm a PlayStation girl, we watch Xbox Extra. I think that's what it's called. Because they've got some fantastic personalities, and they're showcasing all these wonderful games. If you haven't seen either of those two streams, go and check them out. They're a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Big plug there.
If I can find them, I'll leave links for them. Absolutely.
Well, I can. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. But they showcase games, they live stream games, and we watch those with our kids. We don't tend to watch a lot of TV. There's not a lot on TV that appeals to us, to be honest. So we watch a lot of YouTube. It's like the new TV. And that's where they get their ideas for games. They have also played Fallout 4, but they get to the point where, right, we've unlocked Sanctuary. Mum, there's raiders, kill them for us. So, I kill the invaders, they keep building. That's lovely to see. You're getting the screams from upstairs, and you're like, oh, here we go again, super mutants this time. And you come upstairs, wipe out the super mutants, and then they can build happily. So thank heavens for mods and no settlement attacks, and that sorted that problem out. I just trust them to use their own judgment. They don't. They know what they're ready for, and they're quite smart about the games that they enjoy. So no problems here.
I mean, I just bring it up because I listening to Cynical Sage when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. And he was explaining. He said, Dad was in IT, and I was, I had access to games virtually from day one, regardless of where he grew up, where it was restricted. And some people's political point of view at the moment seems to point towards, that you look at the World Health Organization bringing out kind of crazy reports and stuff, and I think it's important that us as a community put the other side of what positive stuff that the gaming has done. And if I think back to Jassassin, and where he had that a fairly significant thing happen in his life, and that's how he got into gaming, and it helped him in rehab and stuff. So That's the reason I wanted to ask the question, because I know from my personal point of view, I don't see it as an issue. My youngest son is a gamer. He's been a gamer for forever, and he's very similar to your family in the fact that they've always had access to it, and they've made smart choices in what they want to be playing. But that's the reason I asked the question. I wanted to put forward that kind of counter argument, because we've heard a lot of positive things about gaming in this whole series this year.
I should hope so. There is a lot of positives in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at pretty much everybody you can talk to in the community has benefited in a positive way from gaming. It's helped them deal with social problems or health problems. It brings joy to people. It's an outlet. It helps negate frustration in your real life. It brings people together. If you look at the Fallout 76 community, yes, you get some griefers, but you also get people leaving little baggies of stim packs or weapons or ammo for people. You know, it allows us to be our best selves and to give generously to people. We help each other out. We look after the little guy. And I think if people outside gaming saw that kind of thing, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to judge.
I agree, and I think the negative stuff is the stuff that we hear most of the time, isn't it?
Well, that's the ignorance. That's people reacting without thinking and just looking for someone to blame and someone to pin things on. And there's always going to be someone that goes, "Oh, one game." That's like GTA. I've never played it. But I wouldn't condemn anyone who does play it, because it's just a video game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got people like Jill Smith on Twitter who's sharing all the wonderful things that she's got from playing video games and encouraging other people to do the same. And it's like, let's start that movement. Let's share our positive experiences and open the door to people who do just look at the mainstream media and go, "Oh, well, video games are responsible." No.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. And
not at all.
That's why I posted that. That's why I posted that chart that I did the other week. But it's this series has been great for hearing people, because they've consistently, I've heard the same thing, Stella, and I think I heard it earlier from you. And it was, I would never have met the people I've met in this community if it hadn't been for gaming. I never had the opportunity to talk to people in this community and interact with them if it hadn't been for gaming. And it's like you said earlier, it is a very supportive community. I think 76 is a very interesting catalyst for Bethesda community, especially because the way that they have done that game, as much as they've so it starts off with everybody being in one area, and obviously you have these people that want to be silly and maybe do some PvP, and then Bethesda go, okay, well, why don't we give them their own little area to go and do that? If they want to do that, fine. All the people that want to do that can go off into their own little area, and they can PvP their little hearts out. And since that happened, you've had these people within the adventure part of or survival part of the game. Adventure part? I can't remember. But anyway, the normal part of the game that show you the true community, because like you said, you'll come across people, nobody PvPs or tries to kill you. Most are waving to you. You'll swap items, they do all this kind of stuff. And I think, I forget who it was that said it might have been Morpheus or somebody, that was saying, since they put the vendor machines in, it's taken it to a whole different level of cooperation, and I think the Fallout community has always been like that, but I think this game has really kind of highlighted it much more than any of the games previously. So I think
what's nice is that we've got people who've been playing Fallout for ages, but because of the type of game Fallout 76 is, we're getting new people into the community. I'm playing with people that have never played a Fallout game before. So they're bringing a whole new perspective to Fallout, which is really nice. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think it's nice. It was a bit, well, I must admit, it was a bit weird the first time I played Fallout 76 and somebody else is in my game and I couldn't, it took me, I don't know if you had the same experience, but I just went, I did do a take two and go, hang on a second, oh, that's right, yeah, okay, it's not Fallout 4. What would you say as far as your game style though, Stella, you prefer? Do you prefer a solo gaming experience or a co-op gaming experience?
Um, I like the co-op. Yeah. I came into 76 with Morph and Oz and Nick, and that was brilliant fun. And now I play with Hunter and Slayer and Milena, and again, that I'm really enjoying it. It's a shame that Fallout 76 isn't more like Fallout 4, but I understand when you've got so many people in a server, there's only so much you can do, so there has got to be limits. So I don't know, maybe a co-op mode for a future Fallout game would be a nice compromise.
So if I look at the kind of gamer you've been previously, is that a surprise that you're enjoying co-op so much? I mean, have you been a single player in the past, or have you always kind of looked for co-op style games?
Well, because I got back into gaming when I got married and we played games together, we played Driver, and obviously that's a solo player game, but one of us would actually play the game and the other would check the map. So we'd be playing together. So even solo games we play together, like currently as a family we're playing XCOM 2.
Yep.
So we all made our own characters and then we pass the controller around and we all make our own movements and our own choices. So we pretty much, even if it is a single player, we pretty much team it. Yeah.
Nice.
I enjoy working together in a group with people.
Yeah, no, I think it surprised a lot of us when we started playing 76 how much fun it was and how much mischief we could get into. Well, that really isn't a surprise actually, but it's funny, this technology kind of has bridged the gap, Discord as well.
Yeah. Yes, it has. And I think since I've been streaming, I have laughed more playing games than I ever had.
Yeah.
So if you go back and check out some of my earlier streams where I'm running around Boston, just getting ridiculously lost and running away from things and dying.
Yeah.
I'm not very competitive at all. So things like that, I've just learned to enjoy the experience regardless of how excruciating it is. So I will laugh a lot in stream. And when I'm with other people in 76, it's exactly the same. If I'm having a good time, it all just comes out. And when you've got different personalities, like my friend Hunter Gunman, he is so sharp. He makes me laugh so much. And Milena is just hilarious. So it's just such a fun experience to be running around, chatting with these guys and playing. And yeah, it takes it from streaming and chatting to people and having fun one way to actually experiencing it all together.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, I think it's a whole new experience for many of us, and I think a lot of us have been very surprised, pleasantly surprised how much fun it is. But yeah, I know Mike and I have we've branched out into other games now because of 76, and we enjoy each other's company, and as he's explained to Volker in the past, we're very similar gamers and very similar in our outlook in life. So some of the stuff that happens is just none of it is rehearsed, but it can just be hilarious.
Yeah.
So
I have to say though, 76 isn't my first MMO.
Okay. What was your first MMO?
It was DCU Online, and I loved that game with a passion. You got to create a superhero, and you'd be running around, Gotham or Metropolis, and yeah, that was why I wasn't negative about 76 when it came out, because I'd already had that experience with people and really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. So, getting to your YouTube channel, what was the inspiration or the catalyst for you to start a YouTube channel?
That was all Gary.
It's a guy's fault again.
Yeah. You've been there at that point where you've watched so many videos and you're building yourself and you're like, do you know what? I'm not bad. I'd like to share that with people and see what they think.
Absolutely.
But because, I mean, Fallout 4's been out a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I only started putting videos up last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I came to it pretty late and there was already so many quality builds out there. It's hard to break in. So it really was. Go on.
No, go.
It really was when Sardeliax was doing his stream and he was building his first episode, I suppose it was, his first part of the challenge, and he was talking about it, and it was like, oh, little bite-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. I don't have to present a completed settlement.
No.
I don't have to, build on stream. I can just do this little bit, this little set piece, this little section. And it broke it down. It was such a good idea.
Yeah.
And this is Loco 4-Pack that came up with the idea. That basically we all build a little bit every week, and then we do a little tour to show people what we'd done.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted us to role play it if we could. And I just thought, yeah, I can do that. I can manage that. It's not too much. It's not too big. It's not too scary. So I did it. And I loved it. And I really enjoyed seeing everybody else's work, You were in there, and JPIC was in there, and Vic was in there. And I mean, I could never do anything Vic does because he's got the PC and he's got all these crazy ass mods. And it was just wonderful seeing different people's take on it.
But I think that's a beauty of Fallout 4 and building a Fallout 4. It doesn't matter. I've seen some amazing people build with no mods at all too. I mean, again, it's just, a lot of people have given different opinions on why they love building in Fallout 4, but it doesn't matter. You just build what you can and enjoy it and relax and get into it. And it's one of the things that I've realised in the last maybe 6 or 8 months is though that there's been like that wave of people that probably came through when just after Fallout launched, and now there's a whole lot of new builders and people that are interested in it. So it's I think it's got quite a longevity of continuing to attract people because of the building component. Just because of the building component. So
absolutely. And because we were all doing the same challenge and we were all watching each other's videos and going, oh my goodness, that's so clever. I've never thought of using that.
Yeah. So
we were all, it really felt like a community at that point. And a lot of people talk about big name streamers and builders, and that's great. But you've got people like Nacho that I'd never watched before, and Jude that I'd never seen. And Jude has got a wicked sense of humour, and so it was nice to see other new builders showcasing their stuff and to feel like I wasn't the only one being the new guy, as it were.
I love it. I absolutely love giving an idea to a group of people and seeing what they come up with. And I know that the build challenge that I gave the community a while back, where you had to use non-conventional materials. It was just astounding what people came up with. Denise came up with a house made of hats, and Nacho built this steam engine, and I'm just like, wow, I love creative people. I absolutely love them to death, because you can give one brief and what comes out at the other end is just astounding.
Absolutely. We all do it in our own unique way.
And I think, the other thing is that everybody's learning off of each other, and I love that as well. I really do. I love the fact that you can... I was the same as you. That's why Gaming for XP exists. I was like, I'd watched all the big guys go, well, maybe it's about time I shared my ideas, and, and then, other people will share their ideas, and we all kind of learn, and I think it's very healthy. Very healthy.
And it does give you a bit of an ego boost when someone says, you know, oh, I really like what you did. I'm going to use it in one of my builds.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, yeah, all right, that feels good, yeah.
So, what would you say you personally get from gaming? What is that piece of the drug that is gaming that keeps you coming back for more?
Hanging out with friends.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in 76 where we're actually hanging out together, or in streams, you know, watching people like yourself and Darth Lion and JPIC, and, you know, just dropping a comment and having other people respond to that. It is just chatting with friends and having a good time.
And just hanging out and just doing whatever you need to.
Yeah.
Have you got a favourite video game series?
Yeah. I love the Elder Scrolls.
Why? What is it about Elder Scrolls that you love?
Oh. Way back when, and it wasn't that far back, my husband and I had played PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. No, PlayStation 1 and 2. And we were talking about what should we do, because our PlayStation was getting a bit defunct. And Fable 2, I think, had just come out. But it was only on Xbox. And we were like, oh,
oops.
Do we buy an Xbox? what do we, you know? So my husband went, well, why don't we see what other games similar to Fable are out at the moment? And we did a bit of Google searching, and it turned out there was a game called Oblivion.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, we can either get Oblivion for the PlayStation or Fable 2 for the Xbox. So I didn't I didn't want to change systems. I've always been a PlayStation girl.
Darn it, we nearly got you.
I wasn't going to the dark side. Hey, we're dragging Mikey over to our side, you know, let's get everybody to be PlayStation. I got Oblivion and I absolutely loved it. I could have spent my life in Bruma, just running around there, you know, with the snow and everything. And then when Skyrim came out, it was just like, yep, I'm home. This is it, I'm done. So yeah. Elder Scrolls. I haven't played the older ones, but at some point I'm sure they'll be made available on PlayStation.
Oh, I'm sure they will be.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
You see, I must make this admission that I was definitely, and had always been a PlayStation player. And the only reason I switched was I wanted to play Gears of War and Halo because I hadn't played them, and it just seemed like those two games were games that I'd heard a lot of people talk about. So, and then you get invested in your whole libraries in one system, and then it's hard to switch back. Although there are a number of the community that are encouraging me to do so at the moment. But anyway.
Well, hey, you're always welcome on our server.
I do have access to a PlayStation if I want it, but anyway.
Well, it'd be nice to see you sometime.
Yeah. You never know, I might pop in for a chat. So
we'd probably get you killed.
Yeah, well, I've played with Mikey so often it doesn't matter. I'm used to it.
Okie dokie.
So you were talking about games that you've played in the past, and this is a very relevant question. So this is kind of some more quick fire questions. If I was able to grant you a superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
And why? That's a bit of a naughty one actually, but why?
No. My daughter asked me this yesterday. You know, we were sat around the dinner table, and she's like, "What two superpowers would you want?" And everyone else was like being really superheroic about it, and I'm like, "Oh, invisibility, right?" So that, you know, when it gets too much, I can just disappear and go away. When, you know, there's too many people, I just can't cope. So it'd be nice to just be able to fade into the background, and yeah.
We do love the kids to bits, but when they go to bed and we can sit down and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, it is wonderful. So
a glass of wine.
A glass of water, whatever your preference is. But yes, I fully understand where you're coming from, and I think
a bottle of wine, yeah.
I think as well, a lot of certainly my personality type is a little bit different, but you know, it does have an introverted side to it. And I'm not sure if you know this, but introverts actually recharge by just having peace and quiet and resting. And so I fully understand it, because at times I need that to happen so that I can recharge the batteries. And so if I was able to give you first class ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you and the family go? Or would you go on your own?
Nowhere. Nowhere.
Nowhere?
No, my accent now.
Oh, Norway.
Norway.
Oh. Nowhere. Norway.
No, it's always been a dream of mine. It's beautiful landscape, fantastic culture. The history there is just phenomenal. It would be a dream for me to just be wandering around and looking for trolls.
I was going to say, do you see that like as an extension of your love of kind of Elder Scrolls and Skyrim and that kind of stuff?
Very possibly. I think most people feel at times that they've been born in the wrong place or era. And I think I should have been a Viking way back when.
Go do it.
Once upon a time.
I'd encourage you to go to do it. I spent a lot of time in Denmark, and I was lucky enough to go to Sweden a few years ago, and I just love those people and the vibe, and their outlook on life is quite special. So, so what are the future plans for IceStella and YouTube? And is there anything that you've got coming up, or is it more 76 or?
Well, I've just put out an update video to try and let people know, because I know some of you guys knew what was going on in my private life, but it wasn't readily available to everybody else. And yes, the night before last, I was building in Fallout 4.
Yep.
So I have got some Fallout 4 builds coming.
Good.
I've got a stream that I do with Nelena now on a Sunday night. We stream some Nuclear Winter, and we have a lot of fun doing that.
Fantastic.
At the moment, we're having a lot of fun. I don't know how much longer she's going to put up with me. But yeah, really enjoying that. I've got a camp tour I need to film for Fallout 76, which is hard work, because building in Fallout 76 is horrible. Horrible.
Something I refuse to do.
Don't learn how to build in Fallout 76. Don't. You need to get Fallout 4 and learn how to build, because Fallout 4 is just so beautiful. I know it wasn't always, but being able to build in Fallout 4 is just, it's a breath of fresh air coming back to it. I have missed it so much.
And here's my here's my very last question. What cosplay character would you dress up as if you could have the choice?
Oh, Huntress. Huntress from DC Comics. She's my hero.
Fantastic.
She's awesome.
Well, Stella, thank you so much for spending so much time on Meet Your Neighbours. It's been an absolute, and not a problem. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so glad that you're back in the community and making videos again. We have all missed you. It's great to have you back.
And I wanted to say thank you to you, because the first piece you did on my channel really, really did help boost me, and I really appreciate everything you've done for me. You've given me loads of support personally, so thank you.
Not a problem. You're more than welcome. So guys, make sure you go and check out IceStella's channel. I know a lot of you have already subscribed, but if you haven't, there's no reason why you shouldn't subscribe to our channel. Go and check her out. Show her some Gaming for XP love. And we'll catch you next time on the channel. Say good night, Stella.
Good night, Stella.
See ya.